Medicare scams are rampant today. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 most common scams that are being used today, and then arm you with the information that you need to recognize them and avoid them. Now, the first tactic that is often used by scammers is pushing people into Medicare at the wrong time. Now, though we're all eligible for Medicare at 65, does everyone have to start at 65? And the answer to that is no. But again, the scammers want everyone to go on Medicare at 65. Why is that? Because unless you enroll into A and B, they cannot sell you anything beyond that and get paid a commission. So they're encouraging people to go on Medicare when some people really don't have to at 65. So let's talk about those that don't have to start Medicare at 65. If you or your spouse are still working and you're covered by an employer-provided plan that has 20 employees in that plan, you do not have to go on Medicare A or B. You don't have to, and you may not want to. And the point is, if that group plan of you or your spouse's is an attractive plan, that you like the cost of the plan, the coverage of the plan, and it's working for you, you don't have to do anything with Medicare whatsoever. Okay, so when the scammers start saying you've got to go on Medicare at 65, their motive is to get you Medicare to try to sell you something. But I'm here to tell you that if you have a good group plan at work, you or your spouse's work, you don't have to enroll in Medicare at all. Now, some people do have to go on Medicare at 65, and that would be people that are either maybe uninsured or people that are on a retiree plan. They do have to start Medicare at 65 because retiree plans either stop or will only pay second to Medicare. Someone's on COBRA insurance, they do have to start at 65 because COBRA only pays second to Medicare. If you're on Affordable Care Act plan, again, I would encourage you to go on Medicare at 65. Why? Because the ACA plan, the benefits of it are going to go away. You can technically keep an ACA plan, but the problem is you pay full premium for it. There's no tax subsidies. There's no cost sharing. So you pay the full deductible, the full copays. And so there's just not attractive once you're Medicare eligible. If you have TRICARE insurance, which means you're retired from the military, again, you are going to start at 65. If you're in a group plan at work, you or your spouse that has 19 or less, again, you are going to start Medicare at 65. But there's many, many people today that are still working or their spouse is still working. They have large group plans and they don't have to do anything at all with Medicare. Now, if you do start at 65, the enrollment period for that is called your initial enrollment period. So just remember, it does last 7 months. That's 3 months before you turn 65, your birth month, and 3 months after. So if we have to start at 65, we certainly want to enroll into Medicare during that 7-month window. And when you choose to enroll will determine when Medicare is going to start you. So of course, some people will start at 65, but there's a host of others that don't have to, but oftentimes they're scammed into thinking they have to. There's scare tactics being shared. They'll tell people they're going to be penalized. And folks, as long as that group plan is 20 or more employees at the company, you'll not be penalized. Now, when you come into Medicare later, you're not going to come in during your initial enrollment period. If you're going to come into Medicare, let's say at 67, what's going to happen is you stayed on that group plan for 2 years. And again, it could be you or your spouse's. We're going to come in using what's called a special enrollment period. I can assure you most scammers have no knowledge of this whatsoever. Special enrollment period is for those who didn't start at 65 because they didn't need to. They continue to be covered by a good group plan, all right? And so when we do the SEP, what happens, it's not a 7-month window. What happens with the SEP, we have 2 rules. We have an L564 form and we have a form called a 40B, all right? And so the L564 is given to your HR department. They verified that you or your spouse were working back to age 65, that we've had credible insurance coverage, and this allows us to come into Medicare, special enrollment, no penalties, no problems, but the L564 is necessary. Now keep this in mind. If you happen to change jobs after 65, you will then need 2 of those L564s. The 40B form lets Medicare know when you want to start. So if my good group plan ends June 30th, I want to start Medicare July 1, we'd put on the 40B, please begin my Medicare July 1. So we can come into Medicare. We don't have to at 65. We can come in at a later date. So don't be scammed into thinking that you have to start at 65 if you're covered by a group plan 20 or more. Hey, just real quick, we often hear from our viewers that they wish that they would have seen a video earlier because they made a decision that really wasn't in their best interest, or they made a decision without having this information and it cost them financially. And we don't want that to happen to you. We upload 3 times every week, and the only way you're going to know about our new videos is if you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification. We're constantly giving away brand new strategies, updates, and comparisons that you don't want to miss. So click the subscribe button below this video right now and turn on notifications so that you never miss another video. Now, probably the largest scam tactic today is these agents that are pressuring people into taking the wrong Medicare plan. And a typical scenario would be if you're talking to someone about enrolling in a Medicare plan, this could be someone over the phone, maybe a call center agent, and they're talking about what your Medicare plan options are. And what they will want to do is they're going to try to push you into an Advantage plan. All right. Why is that? Well, because Advantage plans pay agents, us, they pay us a higher commission. And so agents that care only about the commission, not about you and your coverage, are going to definitely push Advantage plans. And what they do is they talk about the kind of the highlights or some of the things that are attractive about Advantage plans. And there are some very attractive things about them, but there also are some negatives about them, some things that you have to be aware of. And so I have a lot of people say to me today, Marvin, that's all everyone wants to talk about. Why? Well, because they make more money. And so if you're talking to an agent that is not a scammer, they are going to talk to you about both of your options, because you can enroll in A and B, and what you can do is you can get a supplemental plan. Now, not everyone has to get a supplemental plan, but it is an option. And an agent that is going to be honest and ethical, not a scammer, is going to actually talk about both options to see which one is the best for you. So what they'll do is they'll educate you about both of your options, all right? And so, but again, the typical scam agent wants to push Advantage plan. It's a much quicker sale, and they make certainly more money doing it. But the reason I'm mentioning this to you is because, yes, there are some nice things about the Advantage plan. Number one, most of the Advantage companies have a zero premium plan. And it's true. Now, still got to pay Medicare. Remember, you got to pay your Part B premium, which is $164.90 a month. You got to pay that. If you're high income, you pay more than that. But on a monthly basis, we got to be enrolled in A and B. We got to pay our B premium. But the company, that Advantage company, usually charges zero premium. And well, why is that? Well, because beyond the premium, what you're going to do, you're going to be out of pocket. You're going to have co-pays. You're going to have co-insurance. You're going to have sometimes a deductible. So you're going to have some out-of-pocket expenses, but the scammers, the only one they want to talk about are the items that come with zero. And there are a few zero premium. You can use this to your primary care doctor at a zero copay. Usually get some basic labs at a zero copay. And they also are going to throw in the perks. And there's no cost for the perks. You can have some dental benefit, hearing aid benefit, a vision allowance, gym membership. And those things are really, really nice, folks. But there's more to health insurance than just the perks that the scammers want to talk about. And so there are perks. But again, we don't take a plan because of its perks. What we have to find is, how is my insurance going to work? And so what they will not talk about are the things that I would just say are the fine print items that you need to know about. Now, if someone's honest, they can still sell you an Advantage plan, but they're going to certainly make sure that you understand that when you take an Advantage plan, you are going to have a network of providers. You're either going to be on an HMO or a PPO plan. Supplemental plans, you don't have HMOs and PPOs. You can go to any provider that takes Medicare. Right? Advantage plans will always have a network. That's how these companies make their money, because then they can control the costs. So HMOs and PPOs, which means what to you? It means you're not going to have as many providers. There's going to be restrictions, limitations when you have a network. That's just the way it works. Over here, we can go to any doctor that takes Medicare. But if you're comfortable with the network, you may be fine with that, but you're going to have to live with that. The second thing they won't talk about is what is called a pre-authorization. And folks, this is a real big deal. And I can assure you, a scammer never talks about pre-authorizations, but it's a reality with every Advantage plan, because Advantage plans right now have the right on any service that you need to say that's a pre-authorized service. We have to approve that. Now, listen, you can go to your primary care doctor without a pre-authorization. You can see a specialist. You can get your lab work. You can do your preventive stuff, certainly with no pre-authorization. But I can assure you, if you need an MRI or a CAT scan or a PET scan, that's going to have to be pre-approved. If you're going to need a knee replacement or a hip replacement, go to a skilled nursing facility, go to the hospital, non-emergency, all that's going to have to be pre-approved. That means what? The doctor says you need a knee replacement, hip replacement, scan. They'll have to submit that paperwork to the insurance company, and if that insurance company agrees, then they'll pay for it. In other words, they have to approve it. They have the final say-so. And sometimes they immediately approve those. Other times, the Advantage company says, no, we don't believe you need that. I had a lady recently needed a knee replacement. They said, no, we're not going to pay for that. We want you to try steroid shots first, and then we'll try therapy, and then we'll visit the possibility of a knee replacement. I've had it happen with hip replacements, people who needed them. And insurance companies said, no, we're going to therapy. We're not going to pay for a full hip, or we'll pay for a rod, not a full hip. So those kind of things happen. And again, these agents that aren't honest are not going to tell you about that. You're going to find out about that once you get on that plan, and you have to go through that process, and it can be very frustrating. And there's reports out today, you can find them online, where Advantage companies are really getting called by the government to say, no, this is wrong. You're delaying coverage, you're denying coverage, and it really creates quite a scenario for people sometimes with their healthcare needs. Those things are being delayed because of pre-authorization. And again, scammer, what's their focus? The commission. It's not your coverage. And then lastly, you got to realize, and they'll never talk about this, when you take an Advantage plan, what's going to happen? That Advantage plan could be your permanent plan, because here's the way it works. Once you're on an Advantage plan for any length of time, let's say 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you're on the Advantage plan, and you decide that you would like to get off of that and get one of those supplemental plans, in 46 of the 50 states, if you want to get off of your Advantage plan and move over to supplemental plan, you have to go through medical underwriting. Not in New York, not in Connecticut, not in Maine or Massachusetts. Okay, you can go there. But all the other 46 states, if you're on that Advantage plan and you want to move to a supplemental plan, now you have to go through underwriting, which means what? You have to go through a process. We have to ask you 25 to 30 health questions, check all your medications, get a statement from your doctor, and that process, all that information is submitted to an underwriter at that supplemental company, and they do not have to take you. Now, when you first go on Medicare, they have to take you. But if you go on that Advantage plan and you stay on that for any length of time, now you're going to have to be medically approved. And the scammers, again, don't want to talk to you about that, because they know that if you stay on that plan, they're going to get a lifetime commission. All right? And so don't allow them to push you into the plan. I am not saying that you shouldn't get an Advantage plan, that is a bad insurance. I'm not saying that that's not a good option for you. I'm just saying that as someone who will be honest with you will tell you at least about some of these aspects that make them different than this option over here. All right? Yeah, there are some nice positives, but there's also some negatives, and you'll find out about that when you start using that Advantage plan. Hey, if you're finding this video helpful, I want to invite you to go right up here and actually click on a link that will allow you to watch what I call the Medicare Essentials Workshop. It's a workshop that I did that really is going to show you everything you need to know about Medicare from A to Z, how to enroll, when to enroll, and the plan options for you. So go to that link and check it out. Now, this last tactic of being duped into switching your plan can happen throughout the year for sure. However, there's a real concentrated period of time where we see people being duped into switching their plan. And one of those times is called the AEP, which is October 15th through December the 7th. Okay? The other one is called the OEP, which is the open enrollment period, and this is January 1 to March 31st. Okay, this is when there's really a high concentration of scammers that are trying to dupe people into switching plans. Now, listen, sometimes it is wise to switch a plan. Sometimes it's in your best interest to do that. But many times it's a scare tactic. Every ad that you see, well, not every, but most ads that you see, what are they trying to do? They're trying to stir you up to get you to doubt the decision that you made. Sometimes people talk to a family member or a neighbor, and all of a sudden they get doubts that they're on the wrong plan, and they'll call into an 800 number, and again, they're going to try to dupe them into switching a plan when the coverage they're on may be in their best interest. Okay, so again, you don't want to get duped in it, but these particular periods of time, high susceptibility to being duped into that. So here's what happens. If someone is on an Advantage plan, what they can do is they can change to a different Advantage plan October 15th to December 7th. Now again, if your doctor has left the network, or they have raised your max out of pocket, or maybe the medication that's embedded in that plan is not a good plan any longer, well, then you may want to switch. But what happens is these call center agents call you, and what they'll do is they'll say, well, this Advantage plan is giving $200 extra on the dental, or this Advantage plan is giving you $30 back on your Social Security check. And so they'll highlight a couple items that will sound very attractive, but they may not go into some of the details on the negative side of that plan. And so again, what you have to do is you have to look at what's called the summary of benefits. Look at the summary of benefits on the plan you're on and compare it to the summary of benefits of the plan that they're proposing. Look at every single detail, because if there's something that looks out of balance where they're really emphasizing, they're probably taking that benefit away from something else. And so just be cautious. Why do they want you to do that? Because they'll get paid a commission if they can convince you to switch. And again, not every switch is bad, but many times it's totally unnecessary. So be careful of that. Now, the same thing happens during this period of time. Advantage to Advantage, right? We can do the same thing. Now, just so you know the difference, if I make a switch during this particular period of time, my new Advantage plan will actually start January 1 of the next year. In this period of time, if I make a switch in January, my new plan starts February. If I did in February, it starts March. If I did March, it's going to start in April. So again, they're just putting that coverage off for 1 month. But we can make these switches Advantage to Advantage, and the same thing applies. If it's in your best interest and you know why you're going to make the switch, then it's fine to do so. Just don't do it, though, because of some pressure and some sales pitch when these companies are trying to dupe you into making that switch. Know the reason why you're switching. The second thing that happens here is, let's say someone's on a supplemental plan, and they have what right now the most common is the G plan. Well, I can assure you the scammers want you to move to an Advantage plan. Why is that? Because we make higher commissions, substantially higher, and we get paid a lifetime commission. And so what happens is they encourage you, well, why would you want to pay the premium? Well, how about all the perks that we're offering you and all these benefits we have? But again, they don't talk to you about how that Advantage plan is going to work. And that's what I talked about in the last slide. They're not going to talk about networks, HMOs, and PPOs. They won't talk about pre-authorizations. They won't talk about the fact that if you stay on that plan for any length of time, now to get back to your supplemental plan, now you're going to have to medically qualify to do that. And again, if someone cares about you, if they're encouraging you going to switch, they're not just going to highlight all the positives, they're also going to talk about some of those aspects that could be adversely affecting you. All right? And now we can't move from a sub to an Advantage during this period of time. This period of time is Advantage to Advantage only. But this period of time here, 7 weeks of the year, again, those people that are out there trying to get everyone to switch to Advantage plans so they can make a little quick commission and get paid a lifetime commission as well. So the point is this, folks, watch the scammers. If you find someone that is pressuring you to do anything, when that happens to me, hey, I know who they care about. They care about themselves. They don't care about me. If you're working with someone that cares about you, they'll be honest with you. They'll tell you all your options. They're not going to apply any pressure because they want to make sure that you are making the best decision. Let us know if we can help.